This is our last lecture for anatomy and physiology. Today we're going to talk about the sense organs. The sense organs are extensions of the central nervous system that allow it to monitor the animal's internal and external environment. And the types of stimuli that can trigger a response from sensory receptors include mechanical, and under that it includes touching, hearing, and balance. Another sensory receptor is thermal, or the hot and cold, electromagnetic, which is vision, and chemical, which is taste and smell. So here we have the stimuli of touch. So the human hand that's touching the cat is obviously feeling the softness of the fur, and then the cat is feeling the hand, and probably the human is hearing purring from the cat, since the cat looks like it's enjoying it with its eyes closed. And here we have the cat's paws flexed, showing that it's probably doing its kneading, and showing that it's enjoying it. So we're using the electromagnetic of vision with seeing, and then we're using the mechanical aspect of touching and hearing here in this picture. Another general sense is temperature. So here we have a calf covered with a layer of snow. And with temperature, we have the superficial temperature receptors, which are located in the skin. And then the central temperature receptors, which are located in the hypothalamus, which is, if you remember from the last lecture, hypothalamus is in the brain. And the central temperature receptors keep track of the core temperature of the body by monitoring the temperature of the blood. So I'm sure the core temperature is probably lower than normal, so the heart's probably having to beat faster to keep the temperature level up for this individual calf. Now the general sense is called pain. And pain can be classified as superficial, and that affects the skin and the subcutaneous area, or deep, and that affects the muscles and joints. Visceral pain affects the internal organs, such as hunger pains. Then there's acute pain, which is sharp and intense, so that's just when you catch your finger in the door, that would be acute, whereas chronic is dull and aching. And then pain receptors are called nociceptors. There are none in the brain, however. And for animals, hiding pain is a survival instinct. Another general sense is the proprioception, which that's the sense of body position and movement. And here we have a hind limb of a dog, and you can see that its left hind limb is curled under. And basically, this is what's called the righting reflex, R-I-G-H-T-I-N-G, righting reflex. And basically, to test the animal, you curl the foot so it's upside down, and you see how long it takes for the animal to right it. And obviously, this animal has a problem with its nerve impulses because it's not able to right its foot right away. So proprioception. Moving on from general senses to our spatial senses, we have taste and smell. So I don't need to go into much detail on that because I think you know what taste is and smell. And then hearing. And hearing basically is, we have a picture of a dog with its pinna. And the ear is divided into three different sections. You have your outer ear, your middle ear, and then your inner ear. And your outer ear is composed of the pinna, the ear canal, and then the tympanic membrane, also known as the eardrum. And in dogs and most domestic animals, it actually makes this little L-shaped curve here. So sometimes it's hard to even find the tympanic membrane. And what its function is, it acts as a funnel to direct the vibrations to the inner ear. So it acts as a funnel. Then the next level is the middle ear, The middle ear is composed of the ossicles, or the bones of known as the hammer anvil stirrup, or else malleus, stapes, and incus. Actually, malleus, incus, and stapes. It also is involved with the auditory tube, or eustachian tube, in the middle ear, and that's what goes to the pharynx, and it involves the equalization of air pressure. Middle ear. And then the inner ear has a cochlea, which is a little squirrely shaped area here, and also the semicircular vesicles, which you really can't see those. The inner ear is in the temporal bone and deals with hearing equilibrium. So the cochlea deals with the hearing, and the semicircular canals deals with the equilibrium part of it. And you don't need to read through slides 22 to 32 in the PowerPoints, but you really don't need to know those, so don't memorize the data on those. It just deals with how hearing occurs. Next special sense is vision. So here we have a drawing of a cross-section of an eye. So the eye is divided into 3 layers. This outer one is also known as the fibrous layer. The middle layer is known as the vascular, or the uvea layer, and it's colored blue in this outline. And then the inner layer is known as the nervous layer. So the outer layer, the sclera, the white part of the eyes, is composed of the sclera, and then also the cornea, the clear part in the front of your eye, the cornea, is also part of the fibrous layer. Next layer, the choroid layer, or the vascular layer, also known as uvea. It contains the choroid, that's the blue part here. Also contains the iris. And the iris is the area, it's what gives the pigment to the eye and the shape of the eye. And then the ciliary body right here is what helps to focus the lens. And this is the lens right here. And then the inner layer, which is composed of the nervous system, that's where the retina is at. And the retina is where, so light comes in through the cornea, goes through what's called the anterior and the posterior chamber. It enters the pupil. The pupil is not an anatomical part, it's just an opening. So light goes through the pupil, through the lens, to the vitreous body. And the vitreous body is all this area right here, and it's composed also of aqueous fluid, just like the anterior chamber, anterior-posterior chamber. And the vitreous body, as you can see, is composed of two-thirds. It composes 2/3 of the globe of the eye, and it also basically is responsible for the shape of the eye. So light goes through the cornea, through the anterior chamber, and then this part is called the posterior chamber behind the iris right here. The iris is the green one. Then through the lens, through the vitreous body, back to the back of the eye, to the rods and cones of the retina. So then the rods and cones are the nerves, which end up, the impulse goes to the optic nerve to your brain so that you can visualize something. This area right here, where all the nerves and the vessels enter the back of the eye, is called the optic disc. This is considered the blind spot, where images do not form in this area. And as I was talking about anterior chamber and posterior chamber, so you can kind of see the front of the eye, anterior, posterior. And the fluid, the aqueous humor, the fluid, is produced in the posterior chamber, then flows around the iris, through the pupil to the anterior chamber. And we'll talk about this aspect a little bit more when we get to the disease process in just a few slides. Next aspect we're going to talk about is what's called the tapetum lucidum. So here we have the eye that is basically dissected crosswise. So this one is dissected lengthwise, this one's crosswise. So this is the back of the eye. And this shiny area right here is called the tapetum lucidum. The tapetum lucidum is the part of the choroid, so that would be the middle part of the eye, the vascular part of the eye, which is responsible for the shiny eyes. So here we see a picture of a cat with shiny eyes. So the light's hitting the tapetum lucidum. So what it does, it acts as a light amplifier and aids in low light vision. Humans and pigs don't have this, the tapetum lucidum. Another couple of terms you need to know is acanthus is near the bridge of the nose where the upper palpebra and the lower palpebra meet, and then the lateral canthus. And then remember we had the nictitating membrane, which is the third eyelid, which you don't see in this picture, but most animals have the nictitating membrane. And then the adnexa of the eye, or which are the accessory organs of the eye. First of all, we have, this horse has very nice cilia or eyelashes, so cilia. Conjunctiva, which is the transparent mucous membrane that is covers the globe of the eye and then also covers the inner palpebra. And you have 7 muscles that deal with which control the eye movement. And the retractor bulbi muscle, basically what it does, it moves the eyeball slightly deeper into the orbit when it contracts. Another aspect of the eye is the lacrimal apparatus, which is also known as the tear production. Basically, with the tear production, you have the glands, the lacrimal glands, which produce the tears. Then you have what's called lacrimal punctum, which are 2 little openings, one on the upper eyelid and one on the lower eyelid of each eye. And that's where then the tears are absorbed. Then they're drained through the nasolacrimal duct, which goes from the eye down to the nose. So whenever you cry or you have allergies, so you're producing more tears, this is why you have to blow your nose, is because the nasolacrimal duct drains into your nose. This picture right here, it's hard to kind of tell, but basically this is a rabbit. So here's the rabbit's nose. And fluorescein stain has been put in the rabbit's eye to see if the nasolacrimal duct is even open, which obviously it is because the fluorescein stain is dripping very nicely onto the table here. So. And finally, we have 2 disease processes that we see frequently in definitely small animal medicine. The first one is glaucoma, and basically that occurs when you have increased pressure in our anterior chamber of our eye. So remember, I was talking about the anterior chamber of the eye. And there's a blockage so that the aqueous humor doesn't drain. So it develops a big increased pressure. And this is actually an emergency. If it's not taken care of within a matter of hours, this animal will lose sight and sign. It's very painful in the animal. And the other one is cataracts, which basically the lens of the eye becomes occluded so that the animal can't see. And there's surgery for that can correct that.